Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone. What's really interesting actually, when I'm drinking my water just now, I just thought to myself that so the sunnah obviously to drink water is, as we know, to drink in 3 sips. And so I used to always do that, because I thought, this is an easy way to get reward, just drinking in 3 sips, right? And it's good for me. And then I found out years later that the sunnah really is to drink in 3 sips, but to drink it, take a breath, and then drink, take a breath and drink. And that's a lot more difficult. If you've been like me and tried to get reward by drinking 3 sips, I literally drink, and I knew that the sunnah was to remove the cup from the lip. So you drink it, remove it, drink, remove, drink. But I wouldn't drink, swallow, take a breath, and that's a lot harder to fulfill that sunnah. So a new challenge on my hands to fulfill that sunnah. Alhamdulillah. How is everybody doing? Alhamdulillah. Let's have a look at the room. Omar, you are back. Alhamdulillah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. New member, Nadeem B. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the live stream. I hope you enjoy it. Everybody in the room will definitely make you feel welcome. We're building a lovely community here in this live stream of Habitual Muslim on day 5 now, alhamdulillah, and we're in the 23rd night of Ramadan, alhamdulillah, which means it's a big night, man. It's a big night. Could be Laylatul Qadr, and therefore we are trying to keep these live streams short. Sometimes we fail at that because I like to blab. But if you're new here, if you have a question, please write question in bold, so in capital letters, and then your question on the chat so I can sift through them quicker. And if you have a question about a particular topic or suggestion or advice on a particular topic, then write that topic in capitals and then add your comment there. The wheel is here to help us direct this live stream, and we'll be spinning it at some point in the video. But before we do, we like to start with kind of a topic of the day. And so today's topic is about systems. So what do I mean by systems? Systems, we all know what a system is. I'm not going to be patronizing, but really and truly here we're talking about systems to make our lives more efficient. And this is obviously popularized a lot in James Clear's book on habits, Atomic Habits, which I was actually recommended by Kareem, who I work with, a few months back, and I really enjoyed it. And but we're not going to talk so much about the system of habits, although that is essentially why people who speak about efficiency and productivity speak about systems, because they're speaking about it to do with creating new habits. But if we speak specifically about systems themselves today, I wanted to go over a few systems that let's have a look. A few systems that I have put into motion myself, and perhaps you guys can let me know some systems that you guys have, and perhaps you can take some of my systems and I can take some of yours. So a system is basically a rule that you set upon in this context, a rule that you set upon yourself, that every time I do X, I do Y. So it's somewhat of an algorithm that you implement in your life, and the theory is that it eventually becomes a habit, and then you no longer have to think before doing it. And so alhamdulillah, I've been able to successfully implement some systems in my life, and I'm going to go through some of them now. And a lot of the time systems are very minuscule. They're very small changes that you make that inevitably lead to a larger benefit over time, right? So an example is if you want to change your diet and eat healthier, what you would start by, do you know what, a great example of an actual system that I did is every time I would this is kind of a system, I guess. Not really, it's a bit more habit focused, but I remember a few years ago I wanted to stop having sugar in my tea and coffee, and so what I did is I think I used to have 2 teaspoons, which is awful. And what I started doing is I started putting in 1 teaspoon, and then when I got used to it, I would trick myself by putting in half a teaspoon, and until eventually I had no 2 teaspoons. That's not really a system, to be honest, but that came to mind when we were talking about eating healthy. But a system with regards to eating healthy is something like every time you go and reach for, a great system is that you don't bring, that when you go shopping you don't buy unhealthy snacks. That in itself is a system, because then as a rule, you've implemented that in your life, and so eventually you become used to it. Eventually, it becomes a habit, and then whenever you go to your snack cupboard in your house, you don't have any unhealthy snacks there. That's kind of where we're getting at. Okay, so because we're keeping this short, I want to quickly go over 3 or 4 systems that I have implemented in different fields of my life: parenting, work, Islam. And then we can have a discussion on the chat. I can look through your guys' questions. I want to hear about your guys' systems that you've implemented, and then we'll spin the wheel, and then we'll call it a night, inshallah, so we can all get back to trying to get as much reward as possible in this beautiful night. Okay, so I with regards to fatherhood, I've spoken in the past about a system. Many times I've spoken on Fresh Gun, just as an example of a system that we had with Zakaria, which was the nappy station, which I'm sure lots of people have. I don't want to repeat it because I think I've gone over it in many videos, and I found that the people on the live stream tend to be people who, you know, really engage with my content often, and therefore have probably heard it numerous times. But in a nutshell, we set up a nappy station, so every time Zakaria needs a nappy change, we have everything there, so it's a very efficient nappy changing system, as opposed to where's the nappy bag, where's this, where's that, and then you're changing anywhere, and then it gets mess on the bed and all sorts. So that's my fatherhood one, but I'm going to tell you guys about some of the systems that I've set up that you don't know about. And systems basically allow you to, again, the theory is that you are able to start automating your life. So one system I have that all of us have, and I found this one to be an interesting one to start with, is our prayers. It's interesting to realize that the people now who are so successful in a dunya sense talk a lot about systems, and it's amazing because, like many other things, Islam is in some ways built on systems. In terms of your day is like a system. You wake up for Fajr, you have to wake up for Fajr, you have to wake, and then you pray Dhuhr, you pray Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and when you start dotting things around those salahs, it's very easy to implement systems in your life. An example of this kind of formula, if X then Y, we could say when I wake up for Fajr, that's the X, straight after Fajr, before I leave the Musalla, the place that I'm praying, I will do my adhkar, right? Some of us maybe have challenges with doing our daily adhkar, our morning adhkar, which gives us protection and help throughout the day. If you start implementing a habit where at first you have to force it, that the system is when I wake up for Fajr, when I pray Fajr, I don't get up until I have finished my adhkar. Eventually that system will implement itself, and you will never be able to get on with your day until you've done your adhkar. So that's a great example of a system in an Islamic sense. In Ramadan is a great time to start systems and to get systems moving. And in Ramadan you will also have a lot of temporary systems, like for example, and it's unfortunate that some of these systems are temporary because we should implement them throughout the year, but an example that a lot of people have is after every salah they read 4 pages of Quran so they can finish the Quran in the month of Ramadan. That's a good example of a system that people implement in the month of Ramadan. So I've spoken about parenting, I spoke about salah, Islam. I want to speak to you guys about a system to do with work, and then a system that I've recently started. And when I say recently, I mean as recent as just now, like 2 hours ago. So the system to do with work that I use, and this is kind of on a broader scale, is we use an actual system called Google Suite. I'm sure a lot of you guys use Google Suite in your workplaces, but a lot of workplaces have systems. When you especially right now with everything being online and everything being working from home, I'm sure you have Slack rooms where you're working, where you're communicating with your team on Slack, and then you have another software, for example, something like Notion, where you're putting your notes and organizing your kind of your virtual kind of desktop, and other apps and stuff like that. What we've recently done is we've refined all of these apps and stuff, and we started only using Google Suite. And what Google Suite does is we use Gmail anyway in our business, and when I say we use Gmail, our email addresses are custom email addresses like faisal@freshlyrounded.com, but it's within the G Suite package, right? And so we access our emails through Gmail, and because we're paying for this on a business level, we actually get access to all of the other Google Suite systems. So we thought, why not try them out? And they worked great. So an example of one of the systems that I use with one of my projects is we use Google Chat instead of Slack. So we used to use Slack, and we got to the point where Slack was asking for a premium payment. And then one of the guys realized that we already pay a premium payment on Google, and Google offer an identical system such as Slack for businesses, and we already pay for it. So we started implementing that, and then we realized that Google talks to each other great. So we'll use Google Calendars, which talks to the Google Chat, which talks to Gmail. So when I'm in Gmail, I can see my calendar, I can see if anyone's spoken to me on my team. And on top of that, we use an app called Google Keep, which Google Keep allows me to have a checklist, it allows me to have my notes, and they all kind of talk to each other. And that's a system that we've built, or that already exists, that we've implemented, that works absolutely great. So whether you're a freelancer or if you run your own business, I'd really recommend looking into Google Suite a bit more. It's hard to explain in such a quick kind of method, but I'm really a strong proponent of it right now. Just the fact that everything talks to each other is great, and likewise, I love, for example, buying any of my devices tend to be Apple, because Apple are great at communicating with each other. You can AirDrop from your phone to your laptop, from your laptop to your iPad, from your iPad to your Apple TV or whatever. So systems like that are already built for us, I like to utilize, because I think, why not? If I have to buy a phone anyway, and phones are pretty much all the same price anyway nowadays, that's not exactly true. If I have a Mac, it makes sense to buy an Apple phone, and they all kind of talk to each other. So that's kind of an overview of systems at work. I'm going to leave it there with work systems. However, if you guys want to ask about G Suite and how we implement it, or if you want a tutorial on how we use it, do let me know. Ask the questions in the chat and we'll go over them next. Lastly, the system that I implemented today is a very simple system. I wanted to start juicing again. So I used to have fresh juice very often, and I found that it made a big change in my life. I felt a lot better. I had a spring in my step, because it was my only way that I was getting fruit and vegetables in. So I'd buy celery and spinach and oranges and ginger and carrots and apples, and on a daily basis I was juicing these fruit and veg, and I was having them. And I know that there's an argument that perhaps smoothies are better than juice, or is juice as good as smoothies because of the fructose, but if I'm not even getting in any fruit and veg, me fresh juicing on a daily basis was a great win. And I stopped doing that in recent months. And so I decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my juicer out. So last year, when we were talking about Eid gifts, I asked my wife to get me for an Eid gift a juicer, but like a much better one than I had before, because we were moving house, and so I needed to get a new juicer, because that one was technically my mum's. And so I really like this Philips juicer, and I asked her to buy it for me, but unfortunately it's pretty much since then sat for almost a whole year underneath our sink in the cupboard. And today I decided to get the juicer out, and I'm going to leave it on our worktop, because the theory is that if the juicer is out and plugged in already and always clean, then I'm going to use it more. And so that's one system that I'm going to implement now from today, and it worked today. So inshallah it carries on working. The juicer is out, it's going to stay out, so when I'm cooking or whatever, I see the juicer there, I get the fruit and veg out of the fridge, I make a juice, and Bob's your uncle. So that's the system I've recently implemented, and all the system is I've moved something from one place to another, so it's more accessible. Alright guys, I'm going to go through the questions now, and also if you guys have any systems, let me know, and then we'll spin the wheel, and we'll see how things go. Right. Yusuf, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father Sunglasses, you are back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Always with the hand emoji. Abdurrahman. Shaman says, I don't know why YouTube's not notifying me when your live starts anymore. Maybe try press the bell icon, which should be under this video. I'm not sure why that hasn't worked though. I did put the live out late today. I put the kind of I scheduled it quite late, only about half an hour ago, whereas normally I schedule it kind of some point during the day, so maybe that had an effect on it. Jaffa and Lena, Jazakallahu khair for your messages. Ahmed says, I had a juicer but was very messy job to clean it up, then I gave it up. Yeah, I would recommend the Philips one. If you go to Amazon, there's a few Philips ones. Philips have a range, and I'm not sure which one mine is now, the name of it. I did know before, but I think it's the smaller one of the smaller ones on the scale. and it's amazing. And in terms of cleaning, it's quite effective. It's very easy. The trick with the juicer is you have to clean it instantly. As soon as you've made the juice, if you clean it, it's so easy to clean. The problem is that when you juice, you feel like, oh, that's a big pile of washing. Let me just have my juice. Let me chill. I'll clean it later. And then the juice really gets stained in there and stuff, and it's a real hassle to clean. So clean it straight away. Add that to your system. Your system is you make the juice. As soon as you've made the juice, you're not allowed to have the juice until you've cleaned the juicer. If that's in your system, and that's going to be in my system, inshallah, then it's a win-win, because I'm going to always have a clean juicer before I even, and the reward I'm going to give myself for the clean juicer is to be able to drink the juice. All right, guys, let's spin the wheel. Assalamu alaikum. LK, Jazakallah khair for joining. A regular, I think you've been here for all 5 days now. Riaz, likewise. Okay, let's get started. Let's spin this wheel. Tech tip. Today's landed on tech tip. Let's have a look. I did try and write some notes to make sure that the same thing that happened yesterday or the day before doesn't happen again, which is that sometimes I haven't got something prepared. Okay, with regards to tech, the tip I have today, this tip actually came from my wife, so I have her to thank for this, because I was writing my notes and I asked her, I said, what should I put as a tech tip today? And the tech tip today is to invest in good equipment. And we're talking specifically, obviously, about tech here, but investing in good tech equipment is so important, because honestly, tech is one of those things that is constantly improving. So if you're buying something that you're looking to utilize and it's already not in great form, it's very quickly going to become, even if you get the new thing, it's probably going to become old within a few years because of how fast tech is moving. So if you already get like a bad quality thing, it's really not going to last long. And I know that sounds like a very idealistic thing to say, because a lot of good things cost money, but I think you can strike that balance of getting something good quality but also somewhat affordable. An example is if you're investing in a camera, you don't have to, like we're after here, you don't have to get a red camera. We don't have a red camera, and they cost they start at like thousands of pounds, but you can, instead of getting a £500 camera, try and wait and save a couple £100 extra and getting a camera that's kind of a tiny bit better, which does make a big difference. That's a camera example. There's loads of examples with podcasting, especially. That's an example with microphones. So in fact, microphones is a great example, because we had a few options with mics in Freshly Grounded, and we went with the Rode Procaster. Now, the two top mics really at that time were the Rode Procaster and the Shure SM7B. Now, this is a great example of us balancing, investing in good equipment, but also understanding when we just can't afford something, right? And so the Shure SM7B, I think at that time, was like £300 per microphone, whereas the Rode Procaster was £130, so like half the price. And then they were the top two mics. And then after the Rode Procaster, you could even get mics for £20, £25 for podcasting, and I thought about it. But that's me finding that balance in getting a great quality mic, but not the best quality mic, but still a great quality mic, the second best mic that I think you could get out there, without breaking the bank and going for something that's absurd in price-wise at the time, but also not going for something that's like, £20, £25, and is really gonna not do a great job for us. And so I think finding that balance and doing your research is really important. So investing in good tech equipment, very, very important. Okay. Here we go. Parenting. Okay, parenting. I think with parenting, I decided that I'm going to let you guys ask questions or you guys give advice, because with parenting, it's such a vast topic, and on top of it being a vast topic, I'm new to the game. I'm 6 months in, and I can talk perhaps about some ways that we've made parenting a bit more efficient for us, and there's definitely ways in which we've tried our best to do so. However, I'm happy to answer a question to parenting. So if you have a question, shoot it below, and I think they come a tiny bit late on my end. So if they don't come in time, I will have something ready. Let me think about something that we've done in terms of efficiency, or added a habit in parenting that is something that perhaps is useful. there are a few things that come to mind actually. There are a few things that come to mind. I have one in my head. So let me do this. I'll give you a few minutes to see if anybody has any questions that beat what I have in my mind about parenting, and if not, what we'll do is I'll go straight to the thing that I have in mind, which is kind of it's more so about purchases. I think anyone here who's a parent knows that you're spending so much money when you become parent, because you want to be able to just provide anything for your child, but B, because things are always adapting. Like every few weeks they naturally need something else, you know, which is beautiful. Like in order for them to be able to sit up, they're going to need a different style chair, a bigger chair, or a walker, a different type of bottle, teething stuff. So things always change. Okay, fine. Let's go with what I was going to mention then, because I'm not seeing questions pop up about parenting. So what I'm going to say with regards to parenting is researching as much as possible before purchasing something, and trying your best to get things. Again, earlier we spoke about systems and things that talk to each other, right? So buying Macs, because Macs, an Apple Mac talks to your iPhone, etc. It makes things easier for yourself. If you're using Gmail, maybe try looking to Google, the whole Google suite, because it's effective. So I was just reading LK's comment about the cooking. I'm being bad because I'm reading you guys' comments at the same time. That I should have a scheduled time for that. So likewise in parenting, I think that it's really cool if you can get items that talk to each other in parenting as well, and that will save you a lot of money. It might mean that you have to spend a bit more money at first, but it will save you money in the long run. So two examples. One example I'll give is with the pram. So with the pram, actually this is an entire ecosystem. So with the pram and the car seat situation, there's so many car seats you can get, there's so many prams you can get, and it's all just a headache because you just don't know which one to go for. What we decided to do is we decided to get a car base that works with a specific car seat, but we tried to think in advance, and the car base that we have, so the thing that the car seat locks into, we invested in a car seat that not only locks into that base, but also that car seat locks into the base of the pram that we bought. And what we had to do is we had to buy an adapter for that. So there's these little adapters and stuff that exist that you can get. And so why that saved us a lot of time and money is and this is where saving the minutes and saving the seconds makes a huge difference. When we're driving somewhere and we need to get Zachary out of the car, it's a lot easier getting him straight out of the car in his car seat and putting him straight into the pram with the adapter, as opposed to unbuckling him, picking him up, putting him in the pram, and then setting up the new pram. It's literally just going choop choop. It meant a bit more effort in researching the correct adapter for our pram so that it talks to our car seat and stuff. But once that was done, it made a big difference for us. So there we go. That's quite a good efficient trick. There we go. Hafsa says, how early did you start purchasing baby things at pram? Okay, so we were super cautious with this because of the miscarriage that happened first. We were kind of scarred, and so we didn't want to purchase things until in this second pregnancy now until we felt like things were safe. So I think we waited like definitely past 5 months. I want to say maybe like 6, 7, and even 8 months. I'll say maybe 6 or 7 months we probably started buying things, maybe 5, but definitely not before 5 months. And that's up to you. Like, you do get very excited, and when with the first pregnancy, you were already kind of looking at things, but you build this caution when you go through something like that. All right, let's have a look at the time, see if you're on track. All right, cool, we've got about 5 minutes left. Let's spin the wheel. Ramadan reflection. Cool. Okay, well, it only makes sense. Let me just look at if I've got something here in terms of Ramadan reflection, but I'm going to kind of ignore it even if I do. A quick reflection, guys. Makes sense to talk about the 23rd night. It's the 23rd night, which is the odd night. Our deeds are multiplied in Ramadan anyway. If it's Laylatul Qadr tonight, our deeds are going to be worth so much. and better than 1,000 months, as we know. And so just today, there's no point in chancing it, you know. As soon as this live stream is done, actually one thing I decided to do, I spoke to my wife about today, is as you guys know, one of the things that I've been doing in Ramadan is I've been sleeping for about an hour and a half in the night time, because it's been really effective for me. I've really enjoyed it. So I sleep from 1 a.m. till 2:30. What I've decided is that for the rest of Ramadan now, for these last 10 nights, in the odd nights, I'm not going to sleep. So from now till Fajr, I'm not going to sleep, just to maximise even that hour and a half. I think if you weigh out the pros and cons, yes, there's barakah in the sleep of the night. Yes, sleeping a little of the night is a sunnah. But I think right now, utilising the fact that every minute in these odd nights could be worth so much, I think it's more beneficial for me at this stage, and I might be wrong because I'm trying not to speak from an Islamic and scholarly perspective because I don't want to say something that's wrong. But for me, in my current situation, I know that I'll be more effective if I stay awake rather than sleep at night, just in the odd nights for these last 10 nights. All right, let's keep spinning and read the question at the same time. Okay, where's it landed? Parenting, we done that, so let's keep going. Okay, question. Let's go for a question. Mohammed Ayub, Assalamu alaikum bro, keep up the good work. Any reading books or productivity journals, etc. that you could recommend? Jazakallahu khair. I'm going to park that because I do have a recommendation for a journal book, but it's not going to come for a few days. With regards to reading books, outside of Ramadan obviously, I would say, you know, this is embarrassing, but I'm still trying to get through Leaders Eat Last. It's a really, really good book. It's not that it's a bad book. That's not why I've taken so many months to read it. It's that Ramadan's come, so I've completely parked that side of things. Even before that, we were dealing with stuff with the event, so I started slowing down and having the ability to spare time for the books. But Leaders Eat Last is the last book that I started, and it's the book that I'm kind of halfway through right now. I would recommend it. But in terms of like a book that I've like pretty much completed recently, that I would really recommend is a book by Bob Iger, who was the CEO of Disney up until like literally last month, and it's called The Ride of a Lifetime. It's a great book for leadership. I would recommend it to anyone who's in a leadership position, and we're all in leadership positions of some sort, whether you're a big brother, a big sister, you run a business, or you're a leader in your community. Everyone's a leader in some way, and Bob Iger's book, The Ride of a Lifetime, I would very much so recommend. Okay. Relationships. So we haven't done relationships ever. This is day 5 and this is the first time it's landed a relationship. So if you guys remember, and we'll keep this as our last one, we're on 27 minutes. So as you guys remember, I mentioned on day 1 that, by the way, has anybody seen my video that I uploaded today? What did I upload today? I baked a three ingredient lotus biscoff cake. Let me know what you guys thought of the video while I talk about relationships. Okay, so when I introduced the wheel and this whole live stream concept on day 1, I mentioned that relationship is not going to be about what comes to mind, which is like marital relationships and stuff. It's just about general relationships, business relationships, and relationships in general, interacting with other humans. And my relationship reflection in general is about the importance of apologizing first, or apologizing as soon as possible. And this is not just about marital relationships at all. I found so many times that if a person has mastered the skill of apologizing, and I say it's a skill because some people really struggle to apologize, and if you're someone who's watching this and you know that you struggle to apologize, you try your best to work on it, because it's a heavy thing, especially when sometimes overall you're not in the wrong. I think there's always something you can apologize for, and apologizing makes a world of a difference when you've had a tiff. And right now I'm not even thinking about relationships. I'm thinking about, for example, if something comes with kind of me and Umar at the office, and we've had a bit of a disagreement on something. Even if you're in the right overall, you could even just apologize and say, bro, even though I think that what I was saying was right, I apologise for the way in which I approached it, because that probably wasn't the best way of approaching it. That way you're not apologising for what you're standing by, but you're apologising for something. And the reason that's so important is because as soon as you apologise, that breaks the other person's walls down, and then you're able to communicate. And once you become a person like that, you'll find that your relationships in general become so much easier, because you're not scared to apologise. That heaviness of the word sorry becomes lighter and lighter and lighter, and that's a great thing for you to do. Okay, what we're going to do, guys, is we are going to look through just your guys' comments quickly, and we're going to end the podcast there. So, all right, let's have a look. Let's have a look at what you guys thought about the Biscoff cake. Okay, Hannah said, where are we at? There we are. Hannah said, yes, lotus cake, loved the video. Jazakallah khair, Hannah. Nafisa says, yes, and I want to make one. Please do make one. Honestly, they're so tasty. And even though it's not the healthiest thing, because biscuits have so much sugar in it, it doesn't have any, I don't know what that sound was. It doesn't have any added sugar. So you're not adding any sugar, which is quite nice. Was a great video. Want to try it with different biscuit? Please do. LK, it was a very good video. At the end you asked for recommendations on your next bake. Maybe you could try marble cake and brownies, as you mentioned. I think I'm going to try brownies, but I think I might try brownies with hazelnut inside it, like hazelnut brownies. Alright, cool. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. I've been really enjoying these, and I keep mentioning at the end of every live stream that I'm so happy that we built this community. But it's really, really fun. Hopefully we're all learning something together from this. I know I am, and I will see you guys again, inshallah, tomorrow for another live stream of Habitual Muslims. And until then, you be good to yourself, okay? Alright, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.